Good news can take stairs, but the bad news has to take a lift. No large company is built upon just dreams or PowerPoints. Letting go is a very important aspect as well. We were very lucky to really have our first client as a company who's open for your failures. Being fair is also a part of the sales pitch.
Hello and welcome to Pathfinders, our podcast series from Success Alchemists, where we bring to you entrepreneurs, founders, and promoters who have overcome the challenges, found their unique path, and are creating a meaningful impact. Today, I am very glad to have Deepesh Agarwal with us. Deepesh is the founder and CEO of MoveInSync. From starting with a simple carpooling idea in 2009 to building the world's largest employee commute platform, serving Fortune 500s, expanding globally and even in acquisition, Deepesh has seen it all. In this conversation, we will dive into how he scaled MoveInSync and what were the decisions that shaped up his journey. A very warm welcome, Deepesh, to Pathfinders. Thank you so much for being here today.
A pleasure here to be here, Ashima.
Thank you. So, Deepesh, when you started MoveInSync back in 2009 with carpooling, what was the problem that you were trying to solve, and what shifted in your thinking that you pivoted to enterprise commute?
I started in 2009 when I graduated from the business school ISB, and there was sort of one simple thing in my mind that I want to become an entrepreneur. And prior to that, I had worked for Motorola in their intelligent transportation system that gave me a fair bit of exposure to commute systems, but mostly in the US territory, not in India. So I think somewhere in the back of my mind and my co-founder, we thought we were going to do something in transportation. And if you remember, Ashma, we are talking about 2009 when Ola was not born in India.
True.
And Uber was there, but mostly in the valley. I think the easiest answer which comes to everybody in mind, which even comes today, is do a carpool. And hence, MoveInSync's first product was a carpool system, and which we enabled because we had started the company in Hyderabad. We had enabled it from the recently launched Hyderabad airport, which is in the Rajiv Gandhi airport at Shamshabad. And we were providing a carpool solution to people who would sort of come to the airport and then go to the city. I think this, as I said, right, because people were not used to apps, smartphone penetration itself was very low. I think it would be in single digits.
Yeah.
There were hardly any smartphones. So I think we didn't find, I would say, a product market fit. But I think as an entrepreneur, we just kept hitting at the doors. We said, guys, we are doing this carpool solution. It's good for the environment. Why don't you let us do this sort of announcement to your employees? One of the enterprises which later became our client said that, frankly, we have a pooling problem, but it's not a carpool problem. We provide this huge transportation system to our employees, and there were some fundamental challenges with that. So I think as an entrepreneur, we felt that whatever tech or the product which we have built, while it is not fitting in the B2C, but a similar or a very similar product use case fit is there in the B2B. And I think we were very open with that point, that transportation is the big sector we want to follow. We're not too hung up on like it's going to be B2B or B2C, etc. And I think that led to the pivot.
So, who was the client? Was it Google?
Yes, you're right. We were very lucky to really have our first client as a company who's open for your failures. And I remember this one incident, Ashima, that we were doing this solution which does routing. We have to plan thousands of employees, and employees sort of have to come to the office based upon what you're planning. We thought we've got we are all these very smart engineers, and we've got all these prediction routing engines. And we planned this route for one of the Google offices in Hyderabad one day in the morning. And by default, all the employees were like half an hour to 45 minutes delayed because of our prediction. And we thought we're going to just lose that contract probably that day or something, right? Because of our goof-off. But I think luckily, the rain happened that day. And the person who was in charge, he said, you know what? we also screwed up on our Gmail when we had launched it. So it is okay. We know technologies get. So I think I was so relieved to hear that somebody can say that, yes, you know what, we as such a large company can make mistakes. So you as a small company, if you've made a mistake, we know your heart is in the right place. You're doing whatever is the right thing to do.
And how long it took to pivot, like from a B2C, even from a tech perspective, the software perspective, from a B2C to transforming it into actually a B2B?
I think somewhere in mid of 2010, we got this call from Google. They said, we've got this commute problem, and we thought that we've got this nice solution. We just gonna pivot it. It's gonna just take some time. And we did a POC with them on like 4-5 cars, 4-5 drivers. They felt excited. It was Android. It was nice tech. It was a nice experience which we could give it in a test setup. And when they said, this looks good, let's just run it out on, instead of 5 cars, just let's run it on the 250 cars which we have in Hyderabad. And we said, yeah, fair enough. Maybe we will take 6 to 8 weeks. We should be done. And we were like, yeah, maybe told them 8 weeks, but we just gonna do it in 4 weeks. But frankly, I think scale, making that thing which runs in a test environment on 5 cars, making it run for all the drivers. So I think on 5 devices, on a few test cases, on 5 drivers, it was working. But that 6 months, Ashima, became 6 weeks for us. We took 9 months to finally roll it out. So what we thought is like a 1.5 months job was just we like severely underestimated, massively underestimated ourselves. But what was very interesting, when you do sell of these products, sometimes benefit comes from places where you least expect them to. So one of the driver, I remember, I was working for another company, and we were trying to pitch to this company as well. And we heard this driver telling the transport manager, ki sir, this solution by MoveInSync, apart from giving me money, gives me a sense of pride and respect. Wow. He said, how do you get sense of pride and respect? So he said, sir, prior to this, if any day my cab was late, I was the one who always will get blamed. Every time the company would always side with the employee, right? It's just natural. Yes. You would never give that benefit to the driver that maybe the driver showed up on time and maybe the employee delayed. Being fair is also a part of the sales pitch. It's a very important part of the sales pitch, which we don't always discuss in, let's say, investor pitches or client presentations, but respect to many communities who are unorganized, or many users who are unorganized.
So today, MoveInSync is powering employee compute across more than 300 plus enterprises across 39 plus countries, I believe. So what were the toughest inception points, moments where you felt as a founder that you need to really rethink about your model or your team structure, and even, maybe your leadership?
I think hiring back in 2010, 2011 was certainly a very big challenge. Startup wasn't a cool thing which we talk about today. So I think telling somebody that, obviously we want the best, a good talent, if not best. And I think the thesis which I still believe is that you might not be maybe academically the best or IQ wise the right. Obviously there is a certain cutoff which needs to be met depending upon the job description. But I think the biggest important point is the attitude. Very difficult to say we were trying to do like a work-life balance, right? Of course. So we want people who are thinking of that way. See, we'll have our moments of fun and we'll have our moments of joy, etc. But I think this was a moment where we had to convince our first set of, let's say, 8-10 employees. Some of them are still with us. The mentality has to be mostly same. That in poker we say, right, we are all in. So it's like the all-in attitude which we have to focus. Letting go is a very important aspect as well, which I think personally I have realized is a important aspect, and you should not attach too much emotions to it. I think you're not doing just injustice to yourself and the company which you are building. Frankly, you're doing injustice to the person who's also working with you, because you have your mental attitude that this person might not scale as you're wanting.
So do you follow a very specific or detail oriented process while you hire, or how is it? Any specific traits that you look out for, even when you say attitude?
I'll try to recall one example. Frugality is an important value for MoveInSync. Spend where it is needed. So if you for work need a laptop which is 2 lakh rupees rather than 80,000, buy that. But if you trying to but don't do something which does not have a business justification. When we had raised some capital, we were sort of looking to hire somebody to head our sales. And I remember as that incident, this person who still heads our sales is coming from large companies he had worked in. So, and I also had some experience with Motorola, etc. I told him, you know what, we do find matching of minds. You've run the process and we respect what you know and what we don't know. But I think one of the things I feel you will get very surprised while we are having these discussions at nice fancy places is that from where you are coming from a Fortune 100 company to MoveInSync, there is like an order of magnitude difference. What you count in millions and billions, here are just lakhs of rupees. So what you do is, as an experiment, because we've talked about all this and you want to run a sales team, etc., why don't you do this? You stay 2 days in an Oyo hotel. Okay. And if you feel comfortable in staying in an Oyo hotel, then we will talk and maybe we'll have matching of minds.
Wonderful. Okay.
So I think to the credit of our sales head, he actually stayed in the Oyo hotel. He felt it is okay. I think what we have to do, especially in hirings and senior leadership, because everybody else is going to follow them, is that they sort of walk the talk after the interview also, right? So I think that that becomes very important.
Today, MoveInSync has a lot of offerings. You have AI routing, you have EV shuttles, you have the normal cab service, and now even workplace integration is also in place. So which of these you think, so this fall under the category of that SaaS, TaaS and the workplace integration. So which of these you think has been a game changer for your clients?
So one of the pivots which became important, there were two pivots. One was the carpool becoming an enterprise, which was at the start of the company. Then I think after running this company as just a pure SaaS company, scaling it up to I think $3 to $4 million in revenues, etc. We actually did an important pivot, which we sort of call it as TaaS or MoveInSync 1, where we actually opted from becoming just a software provider to actually a full ops, full stack business, right? Where we said we're going to do fleet management, right? So I think that was the other pivot which we added. In the whole scheme of things, that seems to be becoming like front and center for the company. The reason we sort of had to, companies were getting this service in a very, I would say, broken up fashion, because the way our I would say the offerings in the country were structured. There were these fleet providers which are unorganized, and then companies had no option but to sort of tie up with these unorganized fleet providers. Multiple ones, right? And I think if you see, as the growth happens, as economy progresses, countries progresses, a lot of these unorganized sector. See, you see what is Flipkart, Amazon, right? They are organizing what is unorganized retail. So we sort of felt that if we don't take a leadership position of providing entire commuter transport as a service, I think it is not a choice for us, because eventually the world will move towards that. The world needs suppliers who are reliable, and enterprises will pay for that. And if you don't try to fit that in your long-term goal, you will be left eventually with nothing. So I think that was the important pivot which we had to do. It's like 80% of our company's revenue comes from that.
So far, you think TaaS is the game changer for?
TaaS is an important game changer, because I feel that companies will look at service providers who are reliable. We ensure that if something happens, it's MoveInSync's neck.
For them, it's a seamless experience. They don't really need to bother.
They don't have to worry.
And that's the luxury they get from MoveInSync.
Yes, that's our sales proposition. Shit happens, it will not happen. You'll be aware of it. It's a totally controlled system. There'll be good amount of data predictions. Because of our tech prediction engine, some of the AI stuff, we are able to say that, you know what, at least 20% of your employees are going to get delayed. But rather than doing this post analysis that I tell you after they've come, at least I'm able to predict it before that. Yes, this is what is going to happen.
It's not reactive. It's more like
yes, that is our job.
Yeah. This whole employee commute is it's a very high pressure job. Your things can go wrong even at 3 a.m. in the night.
Yeah, actually, most of the time they go wrong at 3 a.m. in the night.
Yeah, that's the time.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
So how do you ensure, or how have you created a culture of resilience?
See, a lot of people ask us that I think you guys have gone into a territory which has high risks associated with it, right? So I think the way I look at it is, if MoveInSync was not running it, anyway, these cabs were running on the road, and there was a chance of some accident happening,
Something will
right?
happen.
Probably because of our technology and monitoring, the chances don't become zero, but they reduce. The biggest accidents happen between 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. when sort of overspeeding, etc. Right? So we have systems on overspeeding. There are systems which we are trying to get in place for driver monitoring, etc. But I think the important part, Ashma, which I mentioned is, which I think our clients understand and appreciate eventually, is that when things go wrong, you inform us first, right? If some accident has happened, just tell us the accident happened. Maybe after that we will do a root cause analysis. So I think that is what we sort of have the culture which we is built in, right? Good news can take stairs, but the bad news has to take a lift. We do this now for 10 lakh employees in this country every day. So 20% of this country's workforce uses MoveInSync. So obviously we have like this massive data set with us. We say that this is what happens, but we are very open if you want to give us a feedback which has worked.
Do you track some of the key metrics that you really have your attention on, or daily you see that, okay, what are the numbers there?
The biggest key metrics which MoveInSync focuses is on-time arrival.
On-time arrival.
If there is one thing which measures the performance of MoveInSync, it is on-time arrival. And obviously the second is around safety, security.
There are times in every company's journey where cash becomes a little tight. So what were some of the toughest money related decisions you had to make?
So I think we had a few times. One was COVID, and actually one was before COVID, where we made a COVID out of our own selves. I think the first, which always has to be there, is you have to lead by example. Biggest cost for a company like us is generally people cost, right? Manpower cost, or a talent cost. Even in COVID, and once we did this in 2015 when we had a big crash crunch, and probably we had just 15 to 20 days of capital left in our bank. That's it, 15 to 20 days of capital left. I think the first thing which we have to do is no sort of mincing the words. We sort of had a quick meeting, everybody whose salary mattered. We said some of it is going to be pay cut, some of it is going to be deferred payment, right? We did an A and B. And obviously Akash and I led this, saying that ours is going to be the biggest and it's just going to be pay cut. But we also did very, very small things, because we deal with very large companies. We went to our clients and saying that if you give us an early payment, we're going to give you this discount. The one thing which we also did, which was very tactical, but I still remember to this date, is we went sort of behind the income tax department to recover our whatever the tax department. I don't know if it was the income tax department, where by default on our invoices TDS was getting deducted at 10%. So if we had a revenue of 10 crores, there was 1 crore which had to be refundable. So we went behind the government department to make sure that our sort of the money which is with them also sort of comes back sooner. The last which I felt was crucial, and as I said, it was linked to our clients, is many of our clients, for various reasons, payments get delayed. Like if it's a 30-day cycle, right? You worked at enterprises. Just because some PO would not have come, the 30 would become 60 days. So you have this outstanding. So you have to sort of micromanage everything. And actually, while we learned it during a tough time, but now we've kept that discipline. So at enterprises, especially if you're building a B2B company, your payables cannot your receivables cannot extend beyond a certain time.
Yes.
I don't remember at this point in time, but that receivables were in again a few crores. I sort of invited to my office a recovery agent from Meru Cabs.
Okay.
And he gave me the advice that, sir, recovering with breaking the relationship is the easiest thing. How do you sort of recover money to make sure that relationships? So you're saying that, you know what, I'm forcing you to give me money, but I'm also respecting you for the business you give me. So I think financial discipline, which we faced because of our tough situation, but I think it needs to get built in the ethos, financial discipline, especially if you're doing businesses where clients pay later.
So even how do you balance between growth and profitability? Because in this sector, scale is critical, but at the same time, margins may be low at times.
So it's a function of sort of how big the company, right? So when during the initial years, I think the growth expectations, when we had done our first capital raise, we were maybe at a sub-$1 million ARR, etc. So I think it was imperative to at least have a minimum 100% growth, minimum, because market is so big. You just need to knock more doors, beef up the team. So when the TAM or the market is big and there's enough opportunity, I think you should knock doors. Having said that, I think we are a very, very strong believer that if you're doing enterprise sales, right, you should not discount. If you discount, you can sort of push your products.
Yeah.
But buddy, these are enterprises.
These are B2Bs, yes.
B2B.
Yep.
Google is not going to buy because your software was 20% cheaper.
That's not a big deal for them.
Oh, it's hardly a big deal. Yeah. This is probably उनके चाय का भी खर्चा इससे ज़्यादा आता होगा, right? For Dell, Google, or anybody, right? So I think this is a myth, which I think we have certainly imbibed, that we almost never discount below a certain price, which we are comfortable with. Because enterprises love service. Enterprises love great service. So when we work with enterprises, and by default, 90% of our clients are Fortune 500 clients, right? So we make sure that we ask them the right price. We tell them why our price is like this. What is the service you get? So I think, coming back to your original question, growth is important. Do not do growth because you're going to sell it cheaper. So if you're selling something for $2, you keep selling for $2. Invest in the sales team, invest in the product, make those things wow, make it attractive, make your after sales, which we call as customer success service, wow. But don't discount that $2 and make it $1. Because that is foolishness in the initial years. We could sort of easily grow 100% year on year. But now that out of the commute market, and that is when we added our TaaS offering from SaaS offering. When we said we reached 20-25% of the market segment, we said that what more we can do. So maybe at that point our growth rate might not be 100%, right? I think that is when you can think about international, right? So we went international, we went to a few geographies, etc. So I think growth rate and profitability is an important question, depending the kind of business you are building. But I think having said that, I feel companies are built for shareholder values. There is no two ways about it. No large company is built upon just dreams or PowerPoints. If they do not create values for shareholders, eventually that company will not be there. So if you have a belief that you are doing a right thing, you got the right product, right service, you should get the right price. And I think a part of it has to be belief in yourself. If you yourself feel ki yaar, what I'm doing is subpar na, if I can cut this deal.
Know your worth.
Yeah, know your worth. Absolutely. Know your worth. And don't undersell yourself.
So if you were, let's say, mentoring a B2B SaaS leader, is there any trait or any decision or any mindset that you can say, if this is there, success is guaranteed? Can you think of any?
Again, what I have learned is B2B leaders, tenacity is an important thing.
Tenacity.
All of it is coming back that enterprises will never buy because you are running some discount promotion or some new thing. Be in touch with them. Think of it like a marriage sort of a thing, right?
Keep working.
keep working at it.
So we have Deepesh, a rapid fire round. Last but not least. So your morning commute routine, podcast, music or silence?
Silence.
If MoveInSync had a theme song, what would it be?
आगे बढ़ो.
आगे बढ़ो. कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा.
कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा. Yeah.
EVs in India, overhyped or inevitable?
Inevitable, but will take time.
It will take time. What's harder, finding the product market fit or building the culture?
Building the culture.
Building the culture. One thing most people don't know about you.
I'm a foodie.
Who has been your biggest personal influence? A mentor, a family member, or friend?
I would say Infosys founders, while I've not met them, but I think it's maybe the fact that I worked there and the values I learned there.
Wonderful. One trait you wish you had more of as a leader?
Telling stories.
Telling stories. You want to be a storyteller.
Yeah, maybe telling stories. Yeah, I wish I was better at storytelling.
Great. Biggest risk you have taken outside of business?
Being so inactive for 40 years, taking up running.
Wonderful. That's inspiring. So if you were not solving commute, what problem you would tackle? You would be tackling.
Maybe, as I said, finding out a nice, interesting restaurant and doing something with that.
Okay. So that's the next venture.
No, I think I'm very excited, and as I said, right, I feel it's committed to it. If I have to do something next, because of my experience, I think footpaths and traffic reduction in large cities is
That's
something
right.
I would like to work beyond my scope of MoveInSync.
Journey.
Yeah.
Okay. An investor question that once stumped you.
Deepesh, you've got only 15 days of money in the bank. Are you aware what you're doing?
Thank you so much for being with us today, Deepesh. I learned some cash gyan also that, okay, when times are tough, what can be the sum of things? How can you work on your account receivables and get ideas across? I learned about how important integrity is and also leading by example, which is very important. And you have been doing it in yourself and in your leaders, in your organization day in, day out. That's very inspiring.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I loved it. One of my first ones. So thank you for having me here.